Shit, no claps.
The hell? Oh shit, I'm messing around. Joel, this is a hell of a friggin' guide. I can't wait to send one to Bob. So we got actually he does a scholarship, and actually him and his wife Marilyn, they were front row in the West Gym. He always asks for one of these, so I get to send him a hard copy. I was trying to find the asterisk next to the Big 12 result, but I didn't see it. You guys know what I'm talking about back there. Let's see. I'm obviously excited for the season. The guys, I'm thinking about our lineup a little bit, and you got 4 guys that have been around to 12. You got 4 guys that have been, maybe a second away, a position away from being on the stand, but there's a big hump to get over, right, as a team. And I think we did some of those things last year, with how we performed at the Big 12s, NCAAs, getting into a single digit for our team. So there were some really good things for us to build off of. What I'm trying to make sure is that it's, not a once in a while thing. It's an every year thing. And that's what you do. You have to reload. You have to be able to get guys that, if a guy like Parker graduates or a guy like Happel graduates, you have someone that's ready to step in. And they understand how to do that, because those guys showed them in front of them. I can tell you that I like the progress of our team, of what we have in there, and I mentioned 4 guys that have been that close. And, the thing is when you're that close, it's one of those things that, you're right there, and it's like, it helps you get over the hump, and you realize it, or you feel sorry for yourself. And I can tell you that the guys that we have didn't feel sorry for themselves, because that's not going to get you very far, in wrestling terms. This thing is distracting the hell out of me right now. Get a little head. I might have to put it somewhere else. I get distracted real easy, sorry. So you're looking forward to that, because everyone's kind of asking me questions, well, who's going to be here and who's going to be there and who's going to be the guy. And, we do have a lot of depth in a lot of weight classes. We'll send guys out to journeyman duels, and, then we go to national duels this year. So, we get thrown in the fire right away this year, probably a little bit more than normal with the duels being early. So, we're going to get tested. I don't know. We got a lot of, I guess, things to answer and to get figured out here as a team, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to tell you that. I think about our McLeod Center last year. I think it became one of the best venues in college wrestling, and certainly that had a lot to do with the team and the group of guys that we put out there and how we performed. But also, it's we're in the state of Iowa, and wrestling's important. Wrestling's important to Cedar Valley, and we understand that, and it makes a difference not only in the kids that come in here, the kids that compete for us, but also on the recruiting front. It makes a huge difference. So I'm looking forward to the season. I know our guys are. I look at these 3 guys, and I look at 3 guys that are, 2 of those guys were captains on our team last year, and they've stepped up in how they prepare, how they train, how they live, and also like the expectation of what it is to be part of UNI wrestling, right? And to me, that is being gritty, selfless, being coachable, but also coming in with a purpose. And our guys are coming in with a purpose right now. And actually, I've been this preseason, I've probably been as happy with our training as I could probably say in any year, just in how well they're working together, how they're collaborating, and that's how you cover ground. Because everyone's like, well, how are you going to fill these shoes? You fill these shoes because you got guys behind them that are working, and they're tirelessly working, and they're committed to something bigger than themselves, which we have within our group right now. And I guess that's about all I have. I know we got questions, so certainly fire away questions. I'm sure Andy probably wants to bring up that the Yankees finally won a series against the Red Sox. That's great. I was happy for him. Neither of them won the World Series. It doesn't really matter. What do you got? You got any questions?
Well, you mentioned having to fill the shoes of like Parker and Kale. Excluding the talent-wise, who's picking up the reins of being that leader off the mat, emotional, mature leader for this team?
Guys are trying to figure it out a little bit. I mentioned these two guys, Farber and Ryder Downey were captains last year. And they're captains because of how they live and how they train. And, heck, both those guys probably came in the first couple of years, they probably didn't get a single vote. So what it means is their peers are seeing what they're doing and how they're living. And then, they're asking me a lot of questions. They're trying to figure out how to kind of fill that role and then do it in their own way, right? Because we had those two guys that graduated. You talked about Apple and Parker. They're two different in how they led. And, you have to be able to lead in your own terms. And both those guys are trying to figure out how to be a little bit, more vocal and sometimes maybe not be liked, because there's a standard that has to be met. And if the standard's not met, then, those guys need to be the ones that are addressing that. I don't want it to have to come to me. Hopefully a lot of things don't even come to me. And that's what they're trying to get in front of. What I say, tradition never graduates, and that's really what we're trying to be able to get. And you have that, and I think we've seen that in 184. We got a couple guys right now I think are willing to and ready to be the guy that's going to be the guy behind Parker. You don't feel those shoes, you do it in your own way, but we have some capable guys in that weight class that I know are going to look forward to picking up the reins. I know I'm still I don't say I'm waiting for some guys to emerge, but you're still like, okay, like be the guy. And you don't have to be a 4th year or 5th year guy. You can be a freshman. That's really what I'm trying to get our guys. Like, you lead the way from the start. And they're doing it. They're just still trying to figure it out a little bit. We're pushing them and prodding them. But those two guys I can point to, they've done a pretty dang good job of doing it. And again, they're captains, and they're captains for a reason.
Coach, what are you seeing out of Ryder Downing going up a weight class? Season didn't end the way he wanted to, so how is he adjusting to that weight mindset?
He'll never make an excuse. He was dinged up last year. And, you get to the national tournament, unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of guys, right? You have to be able to win not being 100%. You may be far from 100%. He is, like we said, he's one gritty SOB. And that's from day one. He's always made it where you're going to have to earn everything. He's built into the weight class. I think giving himself another opportunity to match, 1 or 2, and not 10. Like, can he give himself another real opportunity to match? And then can he capitalize on it? So I think that's really been the focus for him is, okay, go give yourself a go-to a takedown. And I know him and Drew spend a lot of time together. And he's working at it, but it's not a snap of the fingers, right? It's so damn hard. You see college wrestling and you see the margins, and really, I could tell you for our group this spring and summer and fall has been, can we give ourselves another opportunity, 1 or 2, and if we're not being able to get to a leg, can we do it in short offense? And, he's bought into it. Being close sucks, but it also gives you a lot of evidence that you're right there. And he's certainly right there, and dang, we're going to have a battle of that weight class. You got a guy that, Jack can scrap. He's been to the national tournament twice. He's won matches at the national tournament, so I'm not anointing anyone in any weight class. It's going to be earned, and those guys know that. And I think hopefully they're trying to make it so the gap's really wide. I think making our team is, that's one thing. Hopefully they're planning on, being the guy on top of the stand. And now that's why that's what he's going after. I don't know. I'm excited to see him compete. Just continue to stay in the offense, though. That is going to be the thing for him. So.
I guess kind of building off of that same question, I feel like Wyatt's in that same kind of category when he was close last year, and now he's moving up as well. What have you kind of seen from him this offseason as well?
He's grown. He's weighing 250. and he's still moving very well. I think there's just a little bit of like lag of as far as you're starting to wrestle a guy that's, you're instead of wrestling a guy that's 210 pounds, you're wrestling a guy that could be 230 to 270 pounds. So getting adjusted to that a little bit is taking a little bit of time for him. But he's got to remember how athletic he is. And some of the things that got him to where he was last year, he can't lose those things because, it's heavyweight. Sometimes I think guys get, and obviously there's been a little bit difference of heavyweight of what we've seen, of recent years, the type of heavyweight that's out there. He doesn't have to be, what I prototypical heavyweight. He can be a guy that he can scramble if need be. He can get to leg attacks. He can duck, but he's got to continue to use his athletic ability and his speed. And his speed is still really good. I think, it's just different wrestling a little bit bigger guys, and he's getting used to it. But he's built into the weight class. It was kind of funny because he's like, yeah, I don't know, coach. I'll see how my weight does. And this is last spring, and a couple weeks later, he's like, yeah, I'm about 220, coach, and then about 225, and then I'm 240. Now I'm 250. So, he's a heavyweight, and he's enjoying it. And I tell you what, he's going to be a handful for anyone to have to wrestle. Like I said, because he can score in a lot of different positions. So he's adjusting to it, and a guy that was around a 12 again. We got to get our blood round, or don't even get to a blood round. Like we'll do like Apple, just make the semis, make the finals, and you don't have to worry about a blood round. So that's I know that's his plan this year.
It's been a few years since Gunderson was the guy getting pulled out as a freshman, 97 pounds,
Yeah.
and then he's up to heavyweight. How has he progressed since then? What weight class do you envision him at?
84, 97. He took an Olympic year, and he had an injury. So we haven't seen him for a little bit. But he was really young in his wrestling when he came in. He hadn't. Heck, he started late. So I think these last couple of years have been a great thing for him from just being able to understand wrestling, get more wrestling time. We got to get him back out in competition, get him 100% healthy. That's the biggest thing. But you see some great flashes of wrestling in him. Obviously he made a U23 team a year ago, and he shows that he's capable within wrestling and beating all those guys. He's strong. Just get him consistent offense is probably the biggest thing. And I can almost go up and down the lineup. You can almost say that throughout the country right now, right? Like consistently getting to offense and being able to score points, and then being able to put some more points on the board. But excited to have him in there because we have some serious depth within some of those weight classes. Whoever steps out there is going to be a seasoned individual that is ready to have an impact at the national tournament. And I know he's certainly one of those guys that is looking forward to being able to do that. But it's good to have him back and healthy and have him in the room. So
Backtracking to Wyatt, you had guys like Blaze and Gordon kind of make the same move. Is there anything that you've learned from those previous experiences that can benefit him, or maybe even things to stay away from that they experienced?
Continue to wrestle like you did before. You don't have to wrestle like a typical heavyweight, but I think the biggest thing is him being 255 pounds or 50 pounds, and him being, some of those guys were 225 pounds. I think that to me, when you went to second or third match of a day, sometimes that had a little bit of wear on a guy. So I think him being a little bit bigger and being able to put that kind of weight on, being a 250-pound guy and 250-pound guy instead of 230-pound guy, I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then being able to carry that weight well is obviously the biggest thing. But I think him weighing in that weight class, because we wanted to have him, get to that weight instead of being in that other range. So that's probably one of the biggest things that we learned.
At 141, Corey Lance there. He's
Yeah.
a guy who's been in the lineup, especially last year.
Yeah.
You saw the flashes until he got a little banged up. What has he kind of brought to the team this offseason, and what are you looking for from him this year?
Oh man, that dude can wrestle. He can scrap. Got dynamic offense. Can wrestle on top. Really, he can wrestle every position. And if you go back to Vegas last year, he's in the quarterfinals and he's wrestling a guy that, ended up being an All-American, had the first score and, unfortunately tweaked his knee and then, then had to rehab that. And then you had another guy that emerged, which when you have some depth at your, at those weights and you have some battles, that guys either kind of raise to it or kind of go the other way. But, I think for him going up to 41, weight management has been a little bit of an issue. And then weight management becomes energy management. Then it becomes mind management. Then it becomes, oh man, I got a whole season and it's 4.5 months and, do I want to do this all season? And then you're doing this. So I think very steady. Listen, we're all trying to learn how to help these guys be able to manage those things. And, you're talking still 18 to 22-year-old kids that are still trying to figure things out. And we're trying to help them figure those things out. And we're all working together to be able to do it. But, man, as far as wrestling skills and ability, and as good as anybody, explosive and dynamic. And like I said, you saw flashes of it last year. Now it's just being able to consistently do that. But I think that goes back to consistency in how you step in the room every day, the intention and attention you bring to the room every day. And when you do that for a long time, then results are incredibly consistent. So, that's what we keep talking to them about. But looking forward to seeing him at that weight class.
Nick Fox is one of those guys who's thrown his head into the ring at 84. What's he got to do to be that guy for you guys?
I'm going to sound like a broken record here. Consistency in getting to offense, but consistency in weight management and energy. That was probably one of the things last year. Kind of the start of the season was, they were pretty neck and neck. And actually, he wrestled against O'Toole, and I know he got beat by O'Toole, but he wrestled the whole match. He wrestled through every position, and then you kind of saw like, okay, well, I'm getting challenged right here, and then I'm going to raise my level because you saw what you saw in the, what I saw. You can see things that you guys don't see in the room that are consistently happening, and then, that was like, man, I don't know, I'm maybe in a battle a little bit, or maybe I'm losing ground because most of these guys that are coming in, they're never used to being not the guy, right? Everyone almost coming in, they've been the guy, they've been the man, and then all of a sudden maybe you're not the man and you're in that battle, and this thing can get in the way a little bit. But man, as far as skill, ability, man, he got incredible hips. I just saw a little clip of him. We had some matches the other day, and he did something. You're like, I can't say the word I want to say, but holy cow! You're like, how did he do that? He's got some incredible hips. He's just grown, which is, you didn't think he was probably ever going to be an 84 pounder. And even this year coming into it, you're like, I don't know if he'll be an 84 pounder, but man, he's grown into it. I mean, he's a full 84 pounder, and he looks good at it. He's doing well. Just for him, probably just staying in the fight a little bit more. You can't run away from pressure. And what I mean by that in wrestling terms, when a guy's on your head a bunch and you try to run away from pressure, a lot of times it just collapses on you, crushes you, and so you got to be able to stay into that. And that's what to me worked on with him a lot. I think when you can manage your weight and energy better, because that was probably the thing last year a few times. I mean, don't you think? I mean, a few times that Randy, I was looking at Randy back there, but a few times that's what happened. You could tell like, okay, I'm coming to a tournament and I cut my weight, probably not the right way, and then you don't compete very well, and then those things happen. So a long-winded answer of he learned a lot last year, and he does not like sitting on the bench watching.
You got a handful of freshmen, a lot really grew up around your program, Immortal. How are they just adjusting to now officially being a Panther and adjusting to the college wrestling style?
That's a huge benefit to have RTCs, obviously, and have guys that are in and around your program and you know them well. I mean, we have an intimate knowledge of them. And they're wrestling already. So what a huge advantage, because we're not starting at square one. There's already trust built there. There's already some things that I think when you come into a place that you haven't been around as much, take a little bit of time. So the transition time is like that. Jace, been really happy with what I've seen on him. Consistently doing a little bit more every day. And he's one of the last guys every day. And when you do that, then you cover a whole lot of ground. You cover a little bit more ground than everyone else. Kyler, man, some incredible skills. Actually, I saw a little video of him taking down Happel in a practice match. I don't know if you saw that or not, Happel. You saw that? Oh, you saw it. But some incredible skill and ability. Great reattacks. It just, again, when you go to this next level, the intensity and duration of practices are just different. Being able to stay in there, because you used to high school, I can kind of have my way with guys. And then once in a while, maybe you come into a practice, or you probably didn't even have that in your practice room. You were just kind of able to have your way with everybody. And when that doesn't happen, you kind of start to see which way guys go with it. Do they dig in? Do they stay encouraged? Do they keep asking questions? Do they keep coming in? Is it, hey man, I don't know if I'm going to do this. Am I cut out for it? Like, I think you have to get to those points. And as a freshman, like, we're going to put you there, and your teammates are going to put you there, and they're going to help bring you along, right? And that's what I see that's happening with these guys right now. They're all probably ready to get out there and compete, and I'm looking forward to seeing those guys compete. We got a couple other freshmen that, within that house with Max Brady, and who had a great summer, was able to come up early and be around our program, helped a ton. And Logan Paradise, he won Fargo this year, and I see some flashes of him every day. You're like, whoa, dang, that was pretty damn good. So that group of guys, it's in Jaden Rankin, it's a smaller group, but it's a group that, man, is really going to push the group that's in front of them. So, and I can't say a whole lot, but we have a few other guys from there in the future, hopefully going to be Panthers. And I love the club, and I love what Cruz does with those guys. I think it's a very, I don't want to say easy transition, but it's almost the next step, in I think the more continuity you have and the more time you're in within kind of a system, I think the better off you are.
Somebody that obviously comes in as Caleb, and you talk a lot about working guys in and trying to sustain that standard. I guess, what have you learned about him, and how has he kind of fit into the program so far?
Ratchy's doing a good job. I mean, I saw a few things the other day in some of those matches. I'm like, oh, okay. I think he's gearing in and kind of zeroing in. It does take a little bit of time to build trust. A trusting relationship takes time. It's not this, like, it's built over us being reliable and consistent, right? In our message, who we are, how we show up every day. And then he's like, man, these dudes are for real. This is legit. And it's different than where he was at, and different can be better, it can be worse. Like, it's all up to an individual, right? I can tell you that getting him back to, he's very athletic, and when you have both hands up and your feet aren't moving, you're not very athletic. So we're trying to get him back to where he's using some of those things. He's going to both sides of the body. He's got a great attack to both sides. And then really more than anything, just getting this thing back excited to wrestle and compete and loving the sport, because sometimes that can get taken, I don't say taken away from you, but like it kind of gets pulled out of you, because it becomes all about results, or I'm in these battles with this and that and all these other things you can't control, right? And so really trying to get him to focus back on, hey, you have control of these things. Let's go attack this. You have an opportunity in front of you, and let's go make the most of it. So been happy, and I can tell you what I saw the other day, especially with him grabbing a couple of the younger guys and starting to bring them along, because that's what we do in our program. That's what we do. We give back to one another. We leave each other in better places, and he's buying into that. It's helped having Trevor on the team. A high school teammate, and he knows a lot of guys. But I've been very happy with what I saw, and I'm really excited to see him get out and compete.
Coaching staff looks a little bit different for you too. Bringing in, obviously, Apple's been around your program, but Ian Parker, somebody from outside your program. How is he adjusting to that and working with your guys to have that culture?
That dude, actually, I just saw, yeah, I'll tell you a story. I just saw a note that he sent to one of our past alums that he actually wrestled and competed against. And I tell you, he fits. He belongs here. I've heard, and I've only heard great things about him. And because the wrestling community is pretty small, right? So you start making some phone calls about people, and either you get the, hey, you know anything about this guy, and then there's either a pause, or they're like, man, this dude he is legit. And everything I've heard is he's a workhorse. He's legit. He loves to coach. He loves the people that he's around. He's God-fearing man that is going to instill, incredible things into his athletes and buy into them and believe in it. And that's all I've seen. And so he fits right in. Let's just put it that way. And part of college athletics is, graduating class, coaches move. We still have a job to do. And my job is to bring around guys that I think will instill the things that I believe in. And he's bought into those things. Because he lives them. And you can go see him every day, man. He's in there. He is a workhorse. I almost forgot what it was like to be, what is he, 20, 26, 27? Man. Because he's in there in the morning working out, he's working out again, then working out again. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? You can't do that anymore. And, maybe about 20 years ago I was doing that, and you didn't think about it. And, that's the great thing is he's not thinking about it because he's selfish. He's trying to give back to the guys as much as possible. And, I think he fits right into our staff and to what we do as a program. So, am I running down the weight classes or anything? You want me to?
I guess one of the guys at 157, RJ Weston's been around this program
Yeah.
for a long time and has had some really good results in and out of the lineup. What have you liked from him this offseason?
I think the commitment last, the spring, hey, I'm going 57. I'm getting my weight down. I'm getting managed. I know there's some things that I need to work on, and I'm going to work on them. And he's done that. For him, again, pressure gets on you a little bit, and you try to run from pressure. And I'm saying in wrestling terms, right, in a wrestling match. And that's where the struggle is. He has had some great results. He had 65 the other year, and he's he's right there with a lot of the best guys and competing well. But he made a decision. Hey, I'm going 57. I'm going to have my weight down. I'm going to have it managed. I'm going to have good energy, and just getting him through a whole season, and being able to to ride this wave a little bit, because a season you have to ride some waves a little bit, and then just staying on top of them so they don't crash on you. Right? But look forward to seeing him and Ron. I can go to weight classes. You got Trevor and Goldhofer and Bowen, which, man, I've seen some really good things out of him. 33, you got a guy like Farber back, who to me he's a second away from winning the match, and then I think he places, personally. But that's how close the margins are, right? They're razor thin. Got him and a guy like Rankin went up from 25. 41. You got Landon Thorpe. Thorpe, man, talk about a guy who embodies our program. Lives it, loves wrestling, has improved himself, and incredibly. And then outside of the room, heck, he was at 4 Point for his first 4 years here, and then he just lives it and bought into the program. And 49, a guy like Basil, who you mentioned Ratchie, but a guy like Basil who has been through so many injuries and has so many reasons to turn the other way, and he hasn't. So those are the stories. To me, that's what makes up your whole team. It makes up the program. And when you make up a program like that, and you have a team that, you have all those stories, and all these guys are committed to one thing, that's what's powerful. And I kind of talked to them a little bit, the other week about what they felt at the Big 12 tournament. Being in that team race, being there a match within winning it, and that energy that they felt, and all that work that was put into it. And let's go get back to that point. But we have to do it in the practice room. We have to do it in how we live. 57 around 65. You got two guys that were, they've been to the national tournament. They've won matches at the national tournament. Sima, Simon, looking forward to him being healthy. 84, you got some guys that are gonna scrap, and Parker's left some big shoes, and in between him and Drew, I think that's 7 Big 12 titles in a row. Is that right, Randy? You think it's 7? 7 Big 12 titles in a row, maybe at 84. Between Lou, Drew, Lou, and then Parker won the last 5. I think that's like 7 at that weight class. So that's who's going to carry the torch? One of those guys is going to be ready to carry that torch. 97, you got Tank and Carson and John, and then heavyweight with Volker. Stromberg's done a really good job. Aronson, man, that dude, he will let it fly. So got some great depth. I'm looking forward to, and I say that consistently, looking forward to, because I am looking forward to these guys competing, in less than 2 weeks, and then looking forward to the first duel here against North Dakota State and having the McLeod Center packed, because it is a huge advantage, and it's one of the best venues. It's one of the best, and I've been in all the venues. It's one of the best venues in the country, and that's a testament to our fans and I think the product that we put out there, and we're going to put a hell of a product back out there this year. So,
Coach, at the beginning you said something about Ashton. We all know what we're talking about. Has there been any further discussion with the Big 12, with the NCAA to make sure?
I was just joking.
Yeah.
I was just joking. We can just brush by that. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but I don't let things go real easy. I'll just say that, and our job is to score more points, bottom line. Our job is to put heck, we still had opportunities to be able to win that tournament. I probably should just shut up. My boss is back there too. We don't know. This is when you just shut up. I'll tell you that in, facility-wise, we're still in the fundraising aspect of that. People kind of ask, where we're at, and if we got anyone that wants to put their name on a building, let me know. We can get you signed up for it. Just we need a handful of zeros behind it. But to me, if you can't get behind our team and the program that we have and the type of individuals, and you started hearing about some of the guys that maybe you guys don't know a whole lot about. The type of men that are part of this program and are bought into this program and are part of it right now. I don't know how you're a wrestling fan. I don't know how you're a fan of in the state of Iowa, man. These guys embody the things that we talk about, and I think will make wrestling great.
Is there a dollar figure you need to get to in order for it to be a go for fundraising purposes?
I think five is what they're looking for, and then beyond 5, then we can go bigger. Because listen, there's certain needs that you have. Like I want to meet all our needs, so we can have the training facility that I think our program has earned, deserves, from past and present, and then I want a place so we can really show our history. The West Gym was that. West Gym, when you walked into the place, there was history, there was program there. There were so many things that the stories that you could tell. So I want to build new stories in a new place. I want to be able to do that. And I think 5 is what they're looking for. But if we raise more, I'm sure if we can't use it at the facility, there's other places we can use it. I can tell you that. We're never going to turn it down. But I can tell you that I'm looking forward to being able to do that and being able to give our guys everything that they need, the space that they need, and in a place that they come in and are like, man, holy cow. But even right now, I don't feel like we're losing anything on a facility. So it's the people, because man, we're gonna put those people, and we're gonna take them in that facility, and everyone's gonna be like, hell yeah, because You know, I mean, that's what we probably get used against us, right? I mean, if that's all you're going to use against us. Well, they got the facility over here. Like, oh, we got wrestling mats. Well, you don't have this, you don't have that. Like, if that's the stuff that's going to get used against us, look at how much ground we get guys to cover. Guys leave here better. They get developed. They get taken care of. They get it. We see it through with them, right? Can't say that about every place. Say it here, and so hopefully they look beyond that. But I mean, we still want to get the facility built. Yes, and that's the plans, and we're working on it. I mean, and it's going to be, should be right kitty corner, and we'll be able to see the McLeod Center, everything in front of us. You got, where's your checkbook at, Tony? I know it. We can get a few zeros there. But I can tell you this: go come over to a practice and get around our guys, and then you'll become a fan. So I should stop talking. We got anything else? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Apple, did I miss anything? Stacia, did I miss anything? Hell yeah. All right. Go Panthers.